There's really only 3 videos here that you guys. That was the one. Here's the other 2. So this is as Mr. Hawkins is right where we just left him. Okay, he's going to get confronted on the driver's side of his vehicle. He's going to try to make his way forward. He's going to get startled by that person and then try and back out. I'm just going to let this one play. And like I said, unless you guys have a desire to hear the audio, we're good. Okay. All right. So you can see on the left side here, this individual just hit his windshield, or hit his driver's side window with a frozen water bottle. And now he's gotten frightened and started versing, and it's already too late.
So, it's an OSU's jurisdiction.
Yeah, okay.
I guess there is somebody in there, but they're not sure if it's what it is yet. But they're
The
treating
whole
it
incident takes
as
about 44 seconds.
they are treating
He did
it
almost
as a
$9,000
hostage
worth of
barricade,
damage
but they
to this
think he's
man's
by
car
himself
in
in his
45
hotel.
seconds.
Apparently.
There's that one, and then this one here. This is from the front. I apologize.
Oh, they are. They were just asking us to back them up, I guess.
Yeah, right back.
So that's why you know it's so
Yeah. Lacey, I'm pretty sure you know this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was he not on his way to see his mother at a grave site with flowers? Do you know about that?
No, he had just gone to the grocery store and he picked up.
He
Yeah.
went to like
He was on his
way
Arby's
home.
to get something to eat, and he was on
Right.
his way back and decided to take that way to see what was going on. That's what he had.
I think he was directed to go that way because he had asked some officers what would be the best route to go.
Oh. So we have a different version. Maybe he didn't feel comfortable telling you guys, but I mean,
Oh.
I'm going to put it out there publicly because
What?
that's important to me, part of the story. You know, I don't know how you guys feel about it since we talked about it,
That's fine.
but I'm going to explain.
Go for it.
Maybe he, when he spoke to you guys, he didn't, but you'll see portions of this
The
where they took the flowers
Yeah.
out. And,
He did mention that. I remember when he mentioned that that's what they were in the trunk for, but he specifically said that he was going to get something to eat and
Mhm.
was driving back
Yeah.
Mhm.
and took that route.
Right.
Now, the reason why he took that route it was unclear to me, whether he was directed or whether he was just trying to see what was going on.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I didn't ask what the flowers were for.
Well, as
Who
far as-
doesn't just love flowers?
Right. Well, he was going to eventually take them to his dead mother's gravesite that particular day. I don't know if that was the date of her death or her birthday, but there was some significance to that day. But I just think that's a extra cherry on top part of the story that really burns me up.
So I'm going to show you the images, and then I'm going to pull the videos back up and go back frame to frame of why we're looking for the specific people we're looking for right now. So this is the first person that confronts him. This is the person on the driver's side of the door that throws frozen water bottle into the driver's side window. You see, like within a second of that impact, he throws the car in reverse and tries to back out of the crowd. And here's why. This person's trying to break out his window with a frozen projectile here. This individual, this is not taken from the videos you saw, this is from a different camera, but this is the individual who takes the flowers that were ripped out of the trunk and then runs to the intersection of Broad and High and spends the next several hours using them to direct traffic.
He has a lovely fanny pack.
Yep, he's got several identifiable tattoos. He's got red hair. His mannerisms are very distinct. I think he will probably be somebody that a lot of people know. This individual right here, I'll point him out on the video because the other two are a little bit more distinct. This guy rides into the intersection on top of that car. It's a very specific make, model, year car that I'll give you. But then he jumps off the hood of this car, runs over and does a flying drop kick and several other things into the side of the vehicle on the driver's side. And then gets in the trunk and pulls out the tire iron and starts heading back towards the driver door. This vehicle is a 2005 Subaru Impreza RS. There's a chance it may be a 2004, but it's most likely a 2005. We'd very much like to talk to that gentleman. The last, second to last. This is the gentleman I've dubbed Nike Dad because he's wearing Nike shorts, Nike shoes, Nike socks, a Nike shirt, and a Nike hat. Nike Dad because he brings a child to this. In the crowd prior, he is escorting a small child that is with him. He's giving the child water, things of that nature. So this is May 31st. This is not May 28th or 29th. This is not an unknown situation. So he takes his mask down. This is his face right here. Everything else, you can see where he's trying. He actually takes some large projectile, tries to break out the rear passenger side of the car. This gentleman, as you can see, is breaking out the front passenger side of the windshield. And this is the gentleman who runs and stomps in the driver's side windshield. He appears to have some tattoos on the right arm, just based on the difference in coloration between that and his left arm. And we're going to go back and look at these videos frame by frame here real quick. So you can see the individual here on the left side as he's trying to make his way through the crowd. The pedestrian there, in the black Brooklyn Underground shirt, or Brooklyn Shutdown shirt, excuse me, confronts him. You see the
So we're talking about right here, correct?
left side of the screen. Here's the water bottle, ricochets off. Okay, so now we're at the 3 seconds into this video. Real time, he's now in reverse and tries to get out, which is what causes the collision with the bicycles. Here's the gentleman I spoke about on the Impreza. He's going to come in here and make several attempts to do damage to this guy's car. Here's this, and then he's going to start kicking the passenger side doors. This gentleman in the black and white is somebody we would like identified. Right here in the camo. He's going to spend several minutes also kicking the door and punching the windshield. Here's the gentleman who's stomping in the driver's side of the windshield. There's the guy in flannel, literally both feet off the ground doing a flying kick into the car. As we come around, we're going to see that behavior continue with this gentleman in black and white. Notice in the foreground here, this gentleman is going to pick up a bicycle and start caving in the front passenger side. As Nike Dad comes in here with what appears to be a water bottle, but he goes for a heavier projectile a little bit later. So here's the bicycle up in the air. And we're not giving him a shit. He's going for a second swing up here. Now, fortunately, some good Samaritans start to intervene. They actually pull the driver out of the car when they recognize he's having a medical emergency. We don't know who any of those people are.
We would like to talk to them too, if they want to come forward.
Yeah, if for no other reason than to thank them for doing the right thing. I mean,
Which one are they?
so
The
there's
black shirts and they kind of walk around.
several of these individuals you see are going to come in and get to the driver's side door. And you'll see Mr. Hawkins actually be pulled to safety by these individuals. This is the gentleman who is wearing the black and white. He's wearing a camo shirt. He's the one who was kicking the car just a little bit ago. He's now decided he wants to come around to the trunk and start taking stuff out. He gets confronted by this gentleman who is a medic of some sort as he's trying to kick the car some more. Here's a guy in flannel as he comes around to the trunk to get the tire iron.
There's flowers.
So this individual in the green hat, this person in the helmet.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how that's set up.
And you can see the tire iron is out in his hands here.
Do we have a number set up for if someone can identify to call, or are we just going to stick to our social media?
Social media.
Social media. please.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
You guys don't want to
So
answer
just
the
use
phone
our
all day?
social media at Columbus
Thank you.
Police.
We have a lot going on right now.
So actually, as we pan to the right here and then back to
At
the left.
ColumbusPolice.org.
Okay, so just email or?
Or they can send a private message once we post everything, because we'll be posting all of it shortly
This
as well.
gentleman is going to pick up another projectile and go for the passenger side window one more time, despite the fact that he's been waved off multiple times by multiple people. He's going to come back after everybody's starting to move away. He grabs something out of the trunk and tries to break out the window there. So here's flannel guy running back to his car. He's right here. Here's the nose of the car. He's actually going to get in passenger side of that vehicle. It was driven by what appears to be a female white with brown hair. They take off northbound and they're not present again. And you saw the gentleman walking past with the flowers just there in the Bulls jersey. Here's this gentleman. I use that term loosely, leaving the area.
Now you see a lot of the other protesters starting to guard the car.
Is that the last video?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. How far away should I be? Further, closer?
Since you're awake, do you mind taking off your mask?
Oh, yeah. So first off, I just want to commend Ron O'Brien and his office for allowing us to do this. We've worked very closely with him, specifically with Jason Manning and Steve Schott, and they have done an incredible job going through the hours and hours and hours of footage that we received and tips and pictures, but most importantly, prosecuting Attorney Ron O'Brien and his office has done an outstanding job working with us, not just on this case, but other cases related to the civil unrest during the summer. So I will just start with questions.
So can you kind of walk us through what they said before about the 5 guys who have been identified and how many need to be identified? What can citizens do?
Sure. So this incident again took place Sunday, May 31st, during that opening weekend of what many across the country had issues with, which was the civil unrest. In this particular case, Mr. Hawkins, we had identified 11 individuals who had some form or fashion of damaging his vehicle, his property, trying to cause harm to him. So there were a total of 11 people we wanted identified. And thankfully, through the help of other people, again, through our social media and other actions, we were able to identify 5 to this point. So there are currently 5 people out there with active felony warrants for aggravated rioting, and we're in the process of serving those right now. We also have an additional 5, as we just saw here, that we are asking the public's help for. This is important for us to get these 5 individuals recognized so the prosecutors can also charge them as well. And then there's another one that currently is a juvenile, so because of that, we're working through some legal hoops, but the point is there's 11 total in this particular case we're looking to charge.
And what do those 5 plus juveniles face? What charges do they face? Aggravated rioting or more?
So all 11 right now, aggravated rioting and the potential of more charges after, but the initial charge will be the aggravated rioting.
What exactly does that mean? How much time could they serve, since that's a charge we don't see very often?
Sure. So with a felony 5, it's the lowest classification of a felony, but it's still, in fact, a felony. So they could receive, I think an F5, I'd have to double check and I'll get back with
6
you.
months
But
to 12.
6 to
12 months.
Okay, not the 18 months. Okay, that's for the pre-existing. Yeah. So 6 to 12 months they could find, some jail time. But the important part of it is when 5 or more people are engaging in this type of act and it's so aggressive, that's what makes it enhanced to a felony.
We saw so much destruction, especially the first few days of the protest. Why is this case in particular so important for CPD to make arrests in all those cases?
Well, I want to be clear, all the cases we have are very important for us to solve. In this particular case, we just had such extraordinary circumstances, like great video footage, still images, and the fact, to be quite honest, this victim was disabled. I mean, this victim has some severe health issues that potentially could have killed him in this situation, literally killed him. So it's important that we focus on this case as well as the other ones, but we want to definitely make sure that we will not tolerate this type of behavior. I've made it very clear, Chief Quinlan has made it very clear from the beginning that we do not mind protests, peaceful protests. What you just witnessed was destruction, rioting, looting. What you just saw was criminal acts. There's nothing about protesting in the videos you just saw.
Would you like to use this as an example to try to deter people from behaving this way?
Absolutely. We want to show and serve this as an example. And again, that's why I go back to Ron O'Brien and his office, and we're so thankful for him to have the ability to do that, because right now in these times a lot of people are very hesitant to want to put charges on anybody as it related to anything with the protests. But again, I go back to there's a clear, distinct difference between a peaceful protest and a criminal committing criminal acts.
You said you're also looking for just Americans who were there, witnesses. What should they do? Why is it important you talk to them? Why do you want to speak with those guys?
Absolutely. It's important, first and foremost, because Mr. Hawkins is someone's family. And if that were your uncle, your father, someone in your family, I would hope you would want the public to help if they knew something to get these people prosecuted. So it's absolutely vital in any crime that we have. The more help we get from the public, the better off we all are.
And you've seen these guys on video. Were they involved in any other incidents, any other, same kind of rioting in other situations? Not just this one?
Well, right now we're going to focus on this particular case, but I know from the detectives and some of the prosecutors working with them, there may be potential future charges, but I don't want to speculate too far into that without getting with them specifically. But I know in this particular case, we're just going to focus on making sure we can get them prosecuted to the fullest extent.
And what was Mr. Hawkins doing? You said he was just driving.
Yeah, so he was on his way home. He had just gotten something to eat. But a side note, when you look in the video, you can see that flowers were taken out of the car. And why that's troubling to me on a personal level is, he was going to take those flowers to a family member's gravesite at some point. So not only did he have this traumatic incident happen to him personally, but they went in and took his personal items and then they destroyed them for someone he loved that is no longer with us.
And was he injured? And they're going after him. Was he?
Yeah, no, thankfully no injuries, but you got to understand there were no physical injuries, but think of the mental effects, the long-term lasting effects that this had, not just to Mr. Hawkins, but to anyone during the protests who were physically or mentally abused or hurt. Like, this is going to be a stain in their mind for a long, long time.
So you said this isn't the only case that CPD is still looking into. For those who think that, well, the protests were happening in May and June, we're now in November, no more arrests, right? Is that not the right mentality?
Well, no, because it's important to us, no matter when it happened, to follow up on things, because like we've just said before, it's important for people to understand that regardless of the timeline, that it's not okay to behave or perform in that type of behavior any time of year. So just because it happened in the summer and it's over, it's still important for us to follow up, because as a police officer and as a police department, our responsibility is to the public to uphold the law, for everyone to be able to trust us and be able to make sure that we are doing what is appropriate when people are not being appropriate.
So CPD is actively investigating several of these cases. Yes.
We are still actively investigating several cases, yes. And what's important to that is I just want to commend all the officers who have spent hours and hours and hours of their life dedicated to trying to make sure that we don't miss anything and get people prosecuted that need to be prosecuted.
Are a lot of these people local from the Columbus area? Do you have any information on just criminal background, or are they kind of from a wide range of areas outside of Columbus?
So in this particular case, as far as the 5 that we're still looking for, we all believe that they are local. And I could tell you that 3 of the 5 have an extensive criminal background.
We've seen downtown preparing for what potentially could come in the next few days. Do you think this is in some ways a message to people that if you come down here in the next few days after the election and you behave like this, we will find you, we will charge you?
Yeah, I want to be careful. I don't want to necessarily use the word threat, because as a police department, our responsibility is not to threaten anyone, but we are making it very clear that this will not be tolerated again. And we are ready and we're committed to making sure that if people come downtown to peacefully protest, we respect and appreciate that. But just understand that these type of actions we saw behind me will not be tolerated.
Do you have plans for tomorrow, or is there a plan for tomorrow with
Yes.
regards to the results? And what can you tell us? Are you on standby? What
Yes,
can people
so-
expect tomorrow?
Sure. So some of the things to expect over the next couple of days is we've worked diligently in establishing a plan to ensure everyone's safety regardless of politics, right? So we don't necessarily care who wins or loses an election, a decision. That's not our role. We're apolitical. But what is important is that we focus on making sure that what happened back in May and June does not happen this week. So we definitely have a plan. We have extra patrols. We have several other options that we have game plan for to ensure everyone's safety during this next couple of days.
Will you have your field forces out, and how will they be able to control the crowd without some of those tools?
So that's a great question, right? We will have officers in place in certain areas ready to respond to any incident that comes up. And obviously we want to use the minimal amount of hands or force or whatever the word you want to use necessary in the event that we have to control a crowd. But we have had quite a few officers who have done specialized training to help combat any issues that may potentially come up.
Have you guys received specific intelligence that there will be serious uprising either way, or is this just kind of we're going to be prepared just in case because of the climate?
We won't get too specific into the operational plan, but I will tell you that a lot of what our plans are speaking to the current climate, and we want to be prepared. We learned a lot from what happened earlier this summer. Were there mistakes made by us? Absolutely. That's been fully acknowledged by everyone up to the chief of police. But because of the things that we learned back then, we are much more fully prepared to handle this today.
We're at 140.
Yeah.
We have 2 months left of the year. What can you say to get people to stop?
It's troubling. It's disheartening, right? As a matter of fact, just before our meeting here, I spoke with Chief Quinlan, and he has made it very clear his reasons as to why some of this is happening in our city. And most of it is a snowball effect. And what I mean by that, what he told me is, you have to understand, since the beginning of the pandemic, young people have not been in school. Recreation centers have not been open. There have been very limited options for people to have. Many people have lost their job. They've lost income. Our domestic incidents have went up. All of these things have just continued to snowball and cause this huge effect of people losing their lives. And it's disheartening. He talks about it all the time. These aren't just numbers. These are people. But unfortunately, we are at a number that we shouldn't be. And all of these factors in 2020 has led to where we are. So we're just going to continue to encourage people. If you know someone who has a potential to get themselves in a situation where someone could lose their life, please do everything you can personally to help them, whatever crisis they're going through, to keep them from doing that, specifically gun violence, because majority of our homicides, unfortunately, have been by the hands of gun violence.